Okay, Arizona rolls to a victory here. Didn't always feel like it was going to end up like this. This was a 3-point game at halftime. Utah held up in the first half for sure. A Utah team that we do believe is pretty talented, but we said in the preview, Connor, we thought they needed a nuclear shooting night to keep up. They end up 10 for 35 from three, 28% from behind the arc. That's not going to beat Arizona at Arizona.
No, no. And I mean, they beat Arizona in the turnover battle, but not because they were necessarily taking super efficient care of the ball. That was more because Arizona turned the ball over 17 times to Utah's 11. But it was what you've come to expect from Arizona this year, which is they're gonna be the better team in the first half. It's that first 10 minutes or so right out of the second, out of halftime in the second half, where I think in this game Arizona won that 10 minutes. They were like up by 3 at the half, up by 16 after 10 minutes of the second half. And again, I mean, everyone on this Arizona roster contributes. I was worried coming into the game about, maybe they were going to be able to pull Oumar Ballo away from the basket, kind of limit what he wanted to do. And, he only had one block, but still grabbed 9 boards, still went, I think, 8 of 12 from the floor, had a couple of assists. So Ballo was effective. Caleb Love was effective. They shot 10 of 18 from 3. So they were the hot shooting team, as much as a team that shoots less than 23s in a game can be a hot shooting team. But both Kashad Johnson and Pell Larson were perfect from deep, perfect 2 of 2 for each of them. I don't really know where to look at this and say, this player had a bad game outside of like Krivas didn't make his shots, but
he did make one. He made one. But it didn't feel like it. He was 1 for 5. You're right. But that's about the only thing we can nitpick here. I mean, you're going to hear us say this all season long, I think, of these Arizona recaps, especially in conference play where like it's staggering how much better Arizona is than everybody else in this conference. Like I like Utah as a team. I think they're good. I think they held up well against Houston. I think they held up well against BYU. Clearly, like this is a good basketball team. Should make the NCAA tournament. Should be a dangerous out because they can shoot the ball and they can beat anybody. With that said, they're probably at least in the top 3 in the Pac-12 right now, if not the most dangerous team to Arizona. I would definitely hear an argument for other teams. Honestly, like Washington sitting there at 1 and 3, but I think they've been pretty good. Colorado certainly, when healthy, is really good, but like, Oregon's 4-0, Arizona State's 4-0. I don't really believe in either of those teams. And I think when Arizona plays them, they're going to run them out of the gym. So you're going to hear this a lot when we do these recaps of it's just like, oh, Arizona, 20-point home win. Like everybody's good, because that's sort of the takeaway until they get back out of the Pac-12 for me. Now, with that said, this was a really good example of how every single person on Arizona can beat you. Like any given night, it's a different guy. And tonight, it was all 5 of their starters at once, I thought. Like, everybody was kind of rocking together. Caleb Love led them in scoring, 23. He had 6 assists chipped in with that. That tied with Colin Boswell for most assists on this team. Kylan was the quietest scorer of the bunch with only 11, but he doesn't even need to score on nights where everybody else is hitting shots. Kashad Johnson and Pell Larson, 4 for 4 from 3 combined. I mean, as a team, Arizona was 10 for 18 from 3. The starters themselves were 10 for 17. Like, good luck beating them if they do that. I don't think anybody in the country beats them if they shoot that well.
Well, and this is an Arizona team. You're looking at it, right? It's 92 points in a game where they weren't calling fouls.
Mm-hmm.
Like 13 fouls called against Arizona, 12 called against Utah. Both teams only shot 9 free throws. Arizona got 6 of their 92 points from the free throw line, and they still put up 92 points. Like, this is a team that can win at any speed. And I know I took some heat because I said other teams need to slow them down. That's because other teams can't play at the speed that Arizona does. And I think we saw that here, right? They sped this game up. They were able to get up and down the floor. They were able to run the ball and run the score up. And Utah just couldn't keep up in the end. This is a team that turned the ball over to, you talk about everyone chipping in from a passing the ball perspective too. Ballo had 3 assists. Jaden Bradley, Pell Larson each had a pair of assists. They turned the ball over 17 times and still had a 1.3 assist to turnover ratio in this game. Like this is a team that, even though they might make mistakes, which teams do when they're playing at that speed, they're still really good and still willing to pass up good shots for great shots, get everyone else involved. Caleb Love, I think at this point, is averaging the most assists, or pretty close to it, the most assists he's had in his career per game. I know he's averaging the most rebounds he has in his career, and the best defensive stats he's had in his career. But I think assists are up there with his sophomore year. But yeah, I mean, this is a team, they're well oiled. They start 4 seniors. I don't know what you can do to fault Arizona, except say they had one bad shooting night against FAU, and their other 2 losses, they ran into the best team in the country in Purdue and a team in Stanford that couldn't miss at home. So I know they have 3 losses, but like, you look at those 3 losses and what it took. And the only game where I think you could point to that was Arizona losing is probably that FAU game. Where the other 2, I mean, yeah, they could have defended better against Stanford, but Stanford's also not shooting 65% from 3 the rest of the season, probably. So
For sure. I want to put some just box score numbers into context for like how staggering I think the gap is between Arizona and Utah, who I think is one of the better Pac-12 teams, right? Okay, follow me here. Arizona had more turnovers than Utah in this game. 17 turnovers for Arizona to 11 for Utah. Arizona had more fouls than Utah in this game. Only 1 more foul, but still more fouls. Arizona shot worse from the free throw line. They both only shot 9 free throws, but Arizona was just 6 for 9. Add those 3 things together, they're all minuscule, and I'm cutting up the numbers. Arizona only shot 18 threes. Like, yes, they made them. They only shot 18 threes. Utah shot 17 more 3-point attempts than Arizona in this game. If you had told me those 4 numbers before the game, I'm like, ooh, this gets dicey here. Like, Arizona's turning the ball over and not attempting threes. Whoa. No, they win the game by 19 points. Like, I mean, I don't know what you're supposed to do.
And I get that this is the way Utah plays. Utah starts 2 7-footers. They're not a great rebounding team by any stretch. If you were to take away every single offensive rebound for Arizona, and they had 8 of them, they still out-rebounded Utah by 10 in this game. Like, they were grabbing every Utah miss too. Like, Utah grabbed 6 of the 40 offensive rebound opportunities. That's what, 13% or something like that on the offensive boards, with 2 7-footers in the game. This Arizona team, you could argue, and I probably would too. Like, I know I mentioned Purdue's the best team in the country. I don't think it's a stretch to say that this Arizona team has the highest ceiling in the country when it all clicks. It's just a matter of getting it all to click, and what we know from certain players on this roster in terms of it not clicking at times. But if Utah's the 2nd or 3rd best team in the Pac-12, and this is what Arizona just kind of casually did to them at home, like, you're looking at what, 1, maybe 2 remaining losses for Arizona, and they're probably both on the road sometime in the next month and a half. Like, I don't see them losing in the tournament, Pac-12 tournament. I don't see them losing at home. And we already discussed, they're almost out of their tough road matchups. They have Oregon and then Utah and Colorado, and that's it, because the LA teams are not good. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, the two I would circle, actually three I would circle. This is an interesting schedule, Court. We talked about it in the preview. The 2-day turnaround Pac-12. The next two that Arizona has are at Oregon, at Colorado. And at Colorado is far enough down the road. You would expect Colorado gets healthy by then, knock on wood. So, not exactly like if you were handpicking from a list, not the two teams I would want to see on the 2-day turnaround if I'm Arizona on the road. And then the final one that follows that pattern for them is the final game of the regular season against USC. And we know USC is not good right now. Who knows if that changes by the end of the season? They certainly have talent. So it will be interesting. I think you're right. I think Arizona is a team that takes care of business against teams that are totally undermanned against them. And then there's some, like, the door's open against teams that either have enough shooting or have enough talent to hang in a game. We saw Stanford just bomb them from 3. Utah didn't make them in this game. But I think Oregon's a team that could do that. I think Colorado's certainly a team that could do that. And again, we don't know what USC is yet, or we know what they are now. We don't know what they'll be at the end of the year. Okay, last thing from me on this, and then we'll wrap. I just want to give a quick shout out to Gabe Madsen. I love that kid. I really love watching that kid. He's fun, man. He really is.
I also like the fact that I think when we were projecting this game, you said Arizona by 20 plus. I said Arizona by 15 to 18, and they won by 19.
It's the Connor Greg curse, man. Anytime we do one of these, we are just wrong enough every single time. All right. Congrats, Arizona fans. Good win. We'll be here with more previews and recaps throughout the season. I believe we are going to have something up for Washington State. Don't hold me to that. There's a lot of sports going on, but we should have something for you in the next week. That's Connor Hope from Heat Check CBB. I'm GregWaddell from Sleepers Media. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of them this season.